Hola y bienvenido. Welcome to Lito's Language Lab, the place where Spanish comes to life. This is your Spanish adventure. We don't just learn words, we use them, we build them, and we make them our very own. In this unit, your Spanish is going to grow in a new way. Up until now, we spent a lot of time talking about the things that we have, but now we're going to start learning how to talk about the things we have to do. So sit tight, it's going to get very exciting from here. But before we begin building that new skill, let's review something important from our last unit. Spanish brains on? Spanish voices ready? Vamos! In the last two units, we learned about something called noun helpers. Noun helpers are words that help us talk about nouns. They help us answer questions like, are we talking about a specific noun? Are we talking about any one noun? Is the noun close or is it further away? And remember one very important rule. The noun is the boss. The noun tells the helper which form to use. So let's review the noun helpers we've learned. First, remember something important about Spanish nouns. Every noun in Spanish has a gender. That means a noun is either masculine or feminine, and the noun helper must match the noun. That is called agreement. Now let's review the noun helpers. In English, we use the definite article the. The helps us talk about a specific noun, but in Spanish, we don't have just one form of the. Spanish has two forms. What is the Spanish for the masculine form of the definite article the? Correct. El is used with masculine nouns. What is the Spanish for the feminine form of the definite article the? Correct. La is used with feminine nouns. El and la are called definite articles because they refer to a specific noun. Now let's review the indefinite article. In English, we say a or an. This refers to any one noun, not a specific noun. Spanish also has two forms. What is the Spanish for the masculine form of the indefinite article a or an? Correct. Un is used with masculine nouns. What is the Spanish for the feminine form of the indefinite article a or an? That's right. Una is used with feminine nouns. Un and una are called indefinite articles because they refer to any one noun. Now let's take a look at the word this. This is a demonstrative adjective. In English, this refers to something close to us. Spanish also has two forms. What is the Spanish for the masculine form of this? Correct. Este is used with masculine nouns. What is the Spanish for the feminine form of this? You got it. Esta is used with feminine nouns. Now for our last category of noun helpers, that. That refers to something that is further away. Spanish also has two forms. What is the Spanish for the masculine form of that? Correct. Ese is used with masculine nouns. What is the Spanish for the feminine form of that? You got it. Esa is used with feminine nouns. Excellent review. Notice how Spanish organizes words. Masculine nouns use masculine helpers. Feminine nouns use feminine helpers. The noun tells the helper what form to use. This foundation is important because everything we build in Spanish connects together, and today we're beginning something new. In this unit, we're starting a new category in our lessons called Spanish sounds. You've already been reading Spanish words. You've already been saying Spanish words. Now we're going to make sure we understand how Spanish letters sound. And today, we'll begin with the 5 Spanish vowel sounds. Spanish has the same 5 vowels we have in English. A, E, I, O, and U. They just have a different sound than we're used to in English. In Spanish, the vowel for A sounds like ah. Every time you see the letter A in Spanish, it says ah. Now we add the second vowel. The vowel E says e. E. So now we have ah, e. These sounds stay the same every time we hear them in Spanish. Now we add the vowel I. In Spanish, I says e. E. So now we have ah, e. For our fourth vowel, the letter O, but in Spanish it sounds like O. O. It's a shorter O. So now we have A, E, O. Finally, we add the letter U. In Spanish, U says U. U. So the 5 Spanish vowels are A, E, o, u. These sounds don't change. Every Spanish word follows the same vowel sounds. Mr. Roberto is going to give us these vowel sounds in Spanish, and I want you to repeat them after he does.
A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U.
Excellent. Now that we understand Spanish vowel sounds, we're ready to begin the next part of our lesson. It's time for us to move away from talking about the things that we have to talking about the things that we have to do. And in order to do that, we have to start working with verbs. A verb is an action word. It tells us what someone does. In Spanish, verbs appear in two main forms that we need to understand. The first form is called the infinitive form. This is the verb in its basic, unchanged form, the way you'd find it in a dictionary. Examples in English would be like to run, to eat, to speak, to use. The second form is called the conjugated form. When a verb is conjugated, it has been changed to match the person who is speaking. For example, I have, you have, he has. The verb changes depending on who is doing the action. So in this lesson, we're going to begin working with both forms so we can start building longer and more meaningful sentences in Spanish. Say, I have.
Tengo.
Here, we see the verb tener in a conjugated form. The infinitive verb is tener, which means to have. But we're not just saying to have, we're saying I have. So the verb has been changed or conjugated to match the first person singular, meaning I'm the one speaking. So instead of tener, we say tengo. Tengo means I have. But now we're going to move beyond simply saying I have. Instead, we're going to start expressing something I have to do. In English, we often say, I have to study, I have to read, I have to use something. So now we're going to learn how to say I have to in Spanish. Listen how to say I have to.
Tengo que.
Pay close attention here. We're still using the conjugated verb tengo, meaning I have, but now we're adding the word que. When we put these two words together, tengo que, they create a phrase that means I have to. You may remember seeing that que before with an accent mark, which means what, as in a question, but this is a different word. This que does not have an accent mark, and it's not asking a question. Instead, it simply helps us connect two verbs together. In Spanish, we can't always translate every word one by one. Sometimes words work alone, or sometimes they work in a phrase to express an idea, and the phrase tengo que is how we say I have to. To help us remember this phrase, we're using a fun visual. Some of you may know the comedian Larry the Cable Guy, who always says, get her done. The phrase means, I've got to get something done. I need to do it. That idea is very similar to tengo que. So when you see this image, it will remind us that tengo que means I have to, and that means we're about to talk about something we have to do. Now it's your turn. Say, I have to.
Tengo que.
Now that we know how to say I have to, tengo que, we need to add an action. Remember, verbs tell us what someone does. So after tengo que, we will add another verb that tells us what we have to do. Now we're going to add an action verb in its infinitive form. Remember, the infinitive means that the verb hasn't been changed. It says it's in its basic form. This verb will work together with our power verb, tengo que, to complete the idea. So instead of saying I have to, we can now say I have to use. Listen how to say to use in Spanish.
Usar. Usar. Usar.
Notice something important about this word. It begins with the vowel U. And remember, Spanish vowels always have clear, consistent sounds. The letter U makes the U sound like usar. It's not pronounced like the English letter U. Another important thing to understand is how infinitives work in English and Spanish. In English, we usually put the word to in front of an infinitive. For example, to eat, to read, to use. But in Spanish, the word to is not a separate word. Instead, it's built into the verb itself. So usar already means to use. We don't translate the word to separately. It's already part of the infinitive verb. Now it's your turn. Say to use.
Usar.
Say I have to.
Tengo que.
Let's put the two together and say I have to use.
Tengo que usar.
Excellent. Now we see the structure we use to express something we have to do. The pattern looks like tengo que plus the infinitive. The first verb, tengo que, tells us I have to. The second verb, the infinitive, tells us what action we must do. For example, tengo que usar means I have to use. Now that we understand the structure for expressing something we have to do, we can start building complete sentences. We're going to combine tengo que plus our infinitive plus a noun. As we continue, we'll also use our noun helpers to help us choose the correct articles and demonstrative words. If you need your noun helper reference sheet, pause the video now and grab it. Then we'll continue building sentences together. Say, I have to use a marker.
Tengo que usar un marcador.
Say, I have to use this suitcase.
Tengo que usar esta maleta.
Say, I have to use a flag.
Tengo que usar una bandera.
Say, I have to use that book.
Tengo que usar ese libro.
Say, I have to use the pencil.
Tengo que usar el lápiz.
Say, I have to use this eraser.
Tengo que usar este borrador.
Say, I have to use my notebook.
Tengo que usar mi cuaderno.
Say, I have to use a map.
Tengo que usar un mapa.
Say, I have to use this passport.
Tengo que usar este pasaporte.
Say, I have to use that hat.
Tengo que usar ese sombrero.
Now that we know how to say tengo que usar, I have to use, we can follow the same pattern to say many other things that we have to do. And remember our structure, tengo que plus the infinitive verb. The power verb tengo que tells us I have to do something, and the infinitive verb tells us what action we have to do. So in this next section, we're going to add a new action verb so we can say I have to look for something. Listen how to say to look for.
Buscar. Buscar. Buscar.
Notice again how we hear the Spanish vowels we just practiced. The U in Spanish makes the U sound, so we hear bu at the beginning of the word. Also notice that buscar ends with the AR. Remember, Spanish infinitive verbs fall into three groups depending on their endings, the AR, ER, or IR ending. This verb buscar belongs to the AR verb group. Now it's your turn. Say, to look for.
Buscar.
Say, I have to.
Tengo que.
Let's put the two together and say, I have to look for.
Tengo que buscar.
Exactly. Again, we see our structure, tengo que plus the infinitive. This allows us to say what we have to do. Now let's expand our sentence just like we did before. We already know many nouns and noun helpers, so now we can say what it is that we have to look for. Say, I have to look for a suitcase.
Tengo que buscar una maleta.
Say, I have to look for a map.
Tengo que buscar un mapa.
Say, I have to look for the flag.
Tengo que buscar la bandera.
Say, I have to look for that hat.
Tengo que buscar ese sombrero.
Say, I have to look for that pencil.
Tengo que buscar ese lápiz.
Say, I have to look for an eraser.
Tengo que buscar un borrador.
Say, I have to look for the marker.
Tengo que buscar el marcador.
Say, I have to look for a book.
Tengo que buscar un libro.
Say, I have to look for the notebook.
Tengo que buscar el cuaderno.
Excellent. You can now say what you have to use and what you have to look for using the structure tengo que plus the infinitive verb plus your noun helper plus your noun. This pattern will help you build many new Spanish sentences. This is a big step forward in your Spanish. You're no longer just naming things. Now you're starting to talk about actions, the things you have to do. And that's where Spanish begins to grow in a whole new way. This is amazing work, and you should be proud of yourself for what you've accomplished in this first part of Lesson 1. In Part 2, we're going to keep building this same pattern with 2 more new action verbs so that you can speak even more Spanish. I love learning Spanish with you today in Lito's Language Lab. Keep practicing your Spanish because Spanish grows when you speak it.